Welcome back to the Decaf Bubble podcast with me, Abby. I am in full Virgo season mode and we're talking about life resets today. What is a life reset? How do I do a life reset? Why is it important? Particularly for creative freelancers, for artists, for entrepreneurs. So I've been a creative freelancer for 12 years, although technically 9 years if you don't count my degree, but I kind of count my degree in that time because there was so much going on in my degree that I still had to plan my own schedule and I had to really kind of like self-motivate. But yeah, technically 9 years of being a creative freelancer, juggling things, motivating myself, having my own businesses, and I just love a good routine. I have found that having good routines, having good structures, having good habits has been so essential for me to be able to handle this life. It takes a lot to be a creative. It really takes a lot to do anything off the beaten path. And we really have to give ourselves good support structures for our nervous systems to be able to thrive. Otherwise, if we don't have certain structures and frameworks in our lives, everything, especially if you're an artist, everything can just get really flowy and really floaty, and before you know it, you're just living in chaos. And the struggle is real. And so over the years, I have really just tested and tried out so many different techniques and routines and just ways of organizing my life. And I did actually teach a class on how I organize my life, which is available inside the Bubble, which is my membership. I will link that in the description of this podcast. But one thing that what this podcast today is going to be about is those moments of reset, those moments of transition. Because the thing is with routines, we can't always lock in the same routine. As creatives, it doesn't work for us to just decide, at the start of the year, okay, I'm going to do this every single day and this, is going to be my bedtime and I'm going to follow this strict regime, and that just lasts the whole year. It just doesn't work like that. And if you feel like you set these routines up and then they kind of fade or evolve or life gets in the way, don't feel guilty for that, because that's so normal. That's organic. That's part of how life flows. There are ups and downs, and there are different energies throughout the year. There are different things happening throughout the year that we have to be really adaptable and flexible with. And so when I talk about routines, when I talk about structures and rituals, I like to think of them more as kind of phases of the year. For example, I had a very disciplined spring, and there were a lot of reasons for that, but I was really, really locked into a very specific life routine, waking up at the same time, having meals at the same time. I was very disciplined with my phone and what time I turned my phone off and things like that. And that really worked. That was really important for that season because of what was going on in my life. And then summer came and it was ooh, okay, this is feeling constrictive. Where it was feeling supportive before, it's now feeling restrictive. It's feeling too much, and it's feeling unnatural for me to stay with it. And so I flowed into a much more free, bad bitch summer energy of just kind of doing what I wanted and being a little bit just wild and having a fun summer. And that was so lovely and so important. And then I had my holiday as well with my family, and that was just pure going with the flow, being with other people, being in other people's energies, and going with the group mentality of a big group of family, and not being able to be in control of my routines at all, just kind of flowing with the group and indulging loads. We were in France. I ate loads of delicious food, and so by the time I came back, I was so ready for some routines. I was just ready for a reset. And so here we are. I've been in reset mode pretty much for like 2 weeks now, and I've been thinking about a reset, and I've been thinking about how I can communicate what I know about this and these practices with you and this podcast, and just kind of create a really useful resource that will hopefully benefit, a wide variety of artists, creatives in different places in their lives. But Virgo season is undeniable. I feel like there's something so delicious about getting really organized and really locked in at this time of year, because it's just that time of year. Like, it's the time of year where you buy a new notebook and you've got your new stationery and you've got your new school uniform if you went to school in the UK. So, okay, so let's see, where am I? I'm just looking at my notes. So in this episode, I'm going to talk you through kind of like all the key points of a good life reset that for me, and I want it to be like inspiration for you. Like, obviously you can write these all down, you can like check them off, but I don't want it to be overwhelming. I don't want it to feel like, oh, I have to do every single one of these points. Instead, just listen to it, see it as like a smorgasbord of options, and just see kind of what stands out and like what feels really good. I'm going to talk through all those points in this episode, and then the next episode I'm going to do like a 2-part episode. We're going to do more of like a sit down and reflect and review, and do kind of like a summer to autumn transition. But that's going to be more kind of like sitting down and journaling and planning and thinking about that. So in this episode, we're talking about the lifestyle stuff, which is so fun for me to talk about. I love it so much. I could talk about it all day. So, okay. Tips before we get into the main points. I have 3 tips for you. My first tip is a good life reset is spread out over multiple days. Don't ever try and reset your whole life in one day. It will just be overwhelming. I think, I've been in this mode for kind of 2 weeks, because it's really nice to just let yourself spread out and just have a sense of luxury and time to make this transition. It doesn't have to be like, okay, day 1 of September we start the new regime, although that can sometimes feel good too. But just don't make it really harsh on yourself, and don't like expect too much of yourself. Just spread it out. Do a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe take one of these ideas per day or something, so you do it over 8 days, or however you want to do it, but just really just follow what feels good. My second tip is, again, be flexible with yourself. And when you're looking and reflecting on your lifestyle and your routines and all of that kind of stuff, remember that it's not about pressure and perfection. It's not about achieving some kind of perfect routine. It's actually about pleasure, and it's about momentum. What do I mean by that? It's about facilitating more pleasure in your life. Like when we set up routines, when we do the hard work, or not the hard work, but like the thought through preparation of setting up a good routine and a good ritual, daily ritual, or like work schedule, whatever it is, like we create space for more pleasure in the moment. And we also create space for more momentum. Momentum is such an important concept that I really think artists can benefit from. This is actually what I call an energy tool. Inside the bubble, we have the energy toolkit, which I'm building up, and these are like energy tools. One of the energy tools that you can work with as an artist is momentum. And the idea of momentum is that if you do something with a rhythm, with regularity, like every day for 30 days or something, or even every day for 7 days, you start building up this momentum that makes the work easier. So like after 7 days, just like how, when a car speeds up, it's going to use less fuel when it's at the kind of like steady level. You're benefiting from the momentum. You're actually being pushed forward by the momentum of the previous days. And so that's why we do all of this kind of stuff. We're not doing it to be perfect. We're not trying to put ourselves under pressure that it doesn't feel good. Yeah, sometimes it might feel difficult to get that momentum going, but once you've got it, there's just so much reward and so much pleasure that comes from that. And then finally, my third tip is do everything from a place of self-love. I'll say it again, do everything from a place of self-love. None of this is about you're not good enough, you're a mess, you need to fix your life, all of that energy. Like, you're already great, you're already doing amazing. I know that for a fact. And this is just about how can you support yourself. And if you do all these things with an energy of self-love, they're going to work so much better, they're going to feel so much better, it's going to be like so much more efficient, and you're just going to feel safe. Like, you're going to feel happy in the environment of like doing all of this for yourself, not in spite of yourself, and not in like a punishing way, but in a delicious way. Okay, those are my tips. So now we're going to get into the main event, which is I've got 8 points. They're kind of split up into 2. So yeah, let's just take a moment, take a little pause. Okay, so they're kind of split into 2 sections. So 4 points for each section. And then tomorrow we're going to look at the kind of journaling portion or the planning out portion. Okay, so the first section is called routines and rituals. Routines and rituals, baby. Okay, so number 1, for a life reset, look at your sleep routine. So I like to start a life reset by thinking about my sleep routine, when I'm going to sleep and when I'm waking up, and getting consistent with that as a like actual schedule. And this just does so much for me. It sounds so simple, but it's like if I've been in a space like over summer, where I've had a lot of late nights, I've slept in a lot, my sleep schedule has been kind of like all over the place. There's no set time for anything. So create a sleep schedule for yourself. Decide like, okay, I want to wake up at 8 a.m. every morning, or I want to wake up at 9, or I want to wake up at 6 a.m. Whatever it is, whatever feels good to you, and then reverse engineer your bedtime based on the time you want to wake up. There's something about waking up early that just, it's like a different Abby. It's like a different avatar. When I go to sleep early and I wake up early, I am a different person that day. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just a fact. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's to do with the circadian rhythm, or I don't know. But the point is, I've learned over the years that if I'm feeling a little bit chaotic all over the place and I'm waking up late, I just need to ease my sleep schedule earlier, and in no time I'm going to start feeling really empowered again. That might not be the case for you, but I think across the board the advice is like, have a regular sleep schedule. Even if you're like, I want to wake up every day at 11 a.m. and go to bed at 3 a.m, fine, but just do the exact same schedule every day, because that's going to really regulate your nervous system, and it's going to feel like a routine, and it's going to become the foundation for the rest of the routines. And my tip for changing your sleep schedule. Like if you've been sleeping in really late and you want to get it earlier, just go half an hour a day. So say you're waking up 11, try and wake up at 10:30 a.m. the next day, then 10 the day after that, then 9:30 the day after that, then 9, then 8:30, then 8, and then to the time where you want, and do the same with your bedtime, obviously. Before you know it, within like 5 days, 7 days, your sleep schedule will be fixed, and it won't feel, there won't be that day where you just like try and jump 3 hours or something and wake up super early and you just feel horrible all day. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, so that's tip number 1. So number 2 is looking at your food, looking at meals, looking at nutrition. Just have a little think about what would feel really good to you, to kind of incorporate, and really follow your intuition with this. I'm a big believer in intuitive eating. Just take a moment to really think about and maybe even plan out some meals. So like, what is your breakfast going to be for the next, period of time? How can you pack in a bit more nutrients into that meal? Like, what can you add to that meal? Whether it's like, I don't know, so I've been eating broccoli sprouts, so just like putting some broccoli sprouts, like sprinkling it over your breakfast. That's such an easy way to just pack in some extra vitamins. And all of these kind of things, it's like you're just sending a message to yourself that like you love yourself and you care about your body and you care about your health. Imagine if you had a child, maybe you do have a child, and you're always thinking when you're trying to feed. I don't have a child, but like I've been a nanny for many years, and there's just such a deep satisfaction when the kid just like eats well, when they eat like a full meal and you've got some like good healthy vitamins and different things in their meal, and you just feel like, yes, like it's just so rewarding. So imagine you're your own child, like feed yourself, like nourish yourself. So make a little meal plan, and even do a little bit of meal prep. Like I like to prep some healthy lunches, because lunch is like quite I don't know, it just feels like the meal that kind of can get a bit like So I like to meal prep, like cook some food and so I can heat it up. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I mean, even if it's like just adding one little thing, one little change in your diet, all of these points, like they don't have to be a big overhaul, but it's just about intention. It's just about a little change, or like a little like new routine you're excited about, maybe like a new drink in the morning, changing from coffee to cacao, or like I've started drinking coconut water every morning with some lime juice and salt, and that just feels like such a good routine. It's like the electrolytes and like it's just great. Okay, so that's food. Number 2. Number 3 is create a morning routine. Thinking kind of like practically, what are you naturally doing when you wake up? Like for me, for a while through summer, it was just I would wake up, I would straight away open my laptop and start like going on, like checking my emails, going on Instagram. So it's like thinking like, if I was just gonna not do that, like what would be a nice alternative? It doesn't have to be a perfect alternative, but I've actually started a new routine where I wake up, I stretch whilst listening to something like really uplifting, like Abraham Hicks, or what else, like Joe Dispenza, or like an audio book, just something that's like quite uplifting and nourishing to my mind while I stretch, and then just going straight out for a walk. And obviously anyone who knows me knows my breakfast is very important to me, so it's rare that I'll do a routine where I'll do like, I don't know, I'll go for a walk before I eat, but for some reason for this season it's really working for me. So I've been taking my dog out, going for a nice walk, and then coming home, having a big breakfast, and then I'm like set up for my day. And it's a really simple routine, but just kind of establishing a rhythm and a regularity with that. Another nice thing is like bringing in meditation, or doing something like kind of high vibe, like writing a gratitude list. Like one of the things that I've been experimenting with is writing in the morning, writing a list of the things that happened the previous day that made me happy. So I really want you to see it as a ritual. Everything it's ritual. It's not about perfect, like military precision. It's more just about like having a goddess ritual for your morning. And then point number 4 is along the same lines. Have an evening routine. Create an evening routine. One thing I love to do for my evening routine is have a specific time where I turn off my phone, and after that time it's like no screens. During the spring I was doing that, I think at 9 o'clock every night, and it just felt so good that when the sun was going down, maybe it was even 8 o'clock, I can't remember, but it was just this sense of like, okay, the sun's going down, the screens are going down. It's just like that peaceful time where you're not having notifications buzz you. And then another part of my evening routine, which I've kind of kept going, is like lighting a candle to brush my teeth or have a shower, like whatever I do that evening. Just making it like goddess vibes in the evening, as opposed to kind of like, I don't know, monotony, like same old. It's like make it a little bit special. Light a candle in the bathroom and just create like a nice atmosphere for yourself to wind down. So yeah, evening routine, whatever works for you. I mean, read your book or like do your skincare. All of those things, they just feel so good and just set you up. I think like when you have a really good evening routine, it really sets you up for the next day. Okay, so we're just going to pause for a moment because I have some very exciting news, and I would love to take this opportunity to tell you about my brand new one-to-one coaching container, Holistic Life Coaching for Artists. So what this is a 2 to 3 month one-to-one container that I have designed to help you with all of the things that we're discussing in this episode. So we're specifically designing and refining your lifestyle to support your creativity, your creative flow as an artist, entrepreneur, or creative. I'm calling it holistic life coaching because we're looking at the whole picture. We're looking at every single aspect of your life, because in my experience, life and art are intertwined. They're very inseparable. So our relationship with our creative energy and our creative expression is just so intertwined deeply with every detail of our lives. And again, as an artist myself, I know that pursuing a creative path is not for the faint of heart, and it takes a lot out of us. There is so much that it takes to follow this path and to carry on and to pursue it and to stay with it. And I have found that making small adjustments here and there to our lifestyle, to our habits, to our daily routines, and to our mindset can really open up more flow and more energy. And I want to support you with that. So all of my work, including, the Bubble membership, the Cocoon course, everything I do is based on this idea that creativity is a natural process. It's a naturally occurring phenomenon that exists within all of us, but it's not just going to happen. It actually needs the right conditions to thrive. And so in this container, we're looking at creating the conditions that will help your creativity to thrive. Not just applying, like one size fits all. We're really going to go deep into who you are and what you're wanting to express and what your goals are, where you are in your journey, and building a lifestyle that will support that. And that's kind of what we look at in the first month, is just simply building the lifestyle. Once we've kind of gone through that and we've just made some little tweaks and little adjustments and just discussed it and just found, like things that bubble up and little pockets of stuck energy here and there, then we've kind of built a very solid foundation. And from that place, there's a natural movement into talking about your dreams, your projects. But now that we've kind of laid that solid foundation, we can really build on something very grounded and very supportive. So that's why the container is a minimum of 2 months, so that we can spend a whole month just looking at lifestyle. From then on, we can kind of go much more into freestyling, kind of looking at your goals, things that you want to achieve. We're going to meet once a week with a break every 4 weeks for a 1-hour session. And yeah, our goal together will simply be to empower you to create a life that's just so delicious and just so full of pleasure and artistry, and your own artistry infusing into every aspect of your life, that the creativity, the ideas, the dreams just start to feel spontaneous, and they start to feel, really organic. So yeah, if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can book in a totally free 30-minute Zoom call with me to learn more about the container, to talk about, where you're at, and if you think it will suit you, and if you think it will be a good time for you to do this container. I will leave a link in the bio of this episode where you can just book that straight in. I'm doing these free calls until the 15th of September 2025. That would be for enrolling for the autumn season. And I have 3 spots for the autumn season. 1 has already been snapped up, so there are 2 spots. So get in touch soon if you're interested, if you're curious, and let's get back into the episode. Okay, so back to the life reset. We are looking at the second part of this, which is the refresh. And these 4 points are all about kind of cleansing out the old and bringing in the new. So the first point on this list, this is number 5 now, is have a clean and have a declutter. Okay, so this is definitely one to spread out over a few days, because when I try and do all the cleaning in one day, I get so overwhelmed. So, have a laundry day, have a good deep clean, or even just a clean. It doesn't have to be deep. Have a little declutter. Take all these things with lightness, with some fun. Listen to this podcast while you do it. Just don't put the pressure for it to be perfect. I know I keep saying this, but I guess I'm just speaking to myself, really. The part of me that just is very all or nothing with these things. If I'm going to have a declutter, I have to declutter my whole life. I have to do my wardrobe and all my stuff and every single drawer and every cupboard. But it's what if you just took one little basket? I have my little basket of my daily things that I take out. Just take 5 minutes to declutter that. And it's just a symbolic act of refreshing the energy, just releasing some things. Declutter your wallet, if you even have a wallet anymore. I don't know, I feel like my wallet has become obsolete because I use Apple Pay for everything. So, but just declutter something, declutter one drawer, have a nice little clean. If you have an altar, refresh your altar, clean your altar, put something fresh on it. And a little goes a long way with this stuff, but it's very important that we care for our spaces and the spaces that we're in. And if there are things that have been building up over a whole season, or even multiple seasons, energy is liberated by kind of clearing out a few little stuck pockets here and there in your space. So that's point number 5. Point number 6 is do something fun to just shake up your personal energy. So for me, the other day, you might have seen on my stories again, I love just going to a bookshop and browsing the books and just choosing one, buying it straight just off instinct, and then just going to a cafe and just sitting and having a nice little drink and reading my new book. That's just one of my favorite artist dates to do. So just do something like that. Do something that you love. Maybe you just haven't done it in a while. Just give yourself a treat. Maybe go out for a solo dinner. the point is to kind of inject some energy, inject some zest for life into your world. And yeah, this one's definitely about going out, because I just feel like going out into the world, especially if you go somewhere new, like, you know, choose a new restaurant you've never been to, do something that's just gonna like shake things up. That's number 6. That's essential for a good life reset. Number 7 is my classic, my favorite, my bread and butter. This is the aesthetic pleasure ritual. The aesthetic pleasure ritual trademark. I mean, I obviously haven't trademarked it, but it is kind of my thing that I made up. I talk about this in Cocoon, I talk about this in The Bubble. There's just nothing more deeply nourishing to my soul than a good aesthetic pleasure ritual. And what an aesthetic pleasure ritual is just simply a ritual to create some beauty, to create some aesthetic pleasure for yourself. And last night I taught a class on aesthetic pleasure in The Bubble, and it just reminded me, you know, talking through how important aesthetic pleasure is as the source of nourishment for artists, and even just for aesthetes, for anyone who wants to love life, wants to live a creative life. Just do a nice little ritual. So examples of aesthetic pleasure rituals. One of my favorite ones is just to buy a bunch of flowers, spend some time just choosing them, and then walk home and then cut the stems, put them in a beautiful vase, and then just enjoy the whole process. The whole point is it's about attention. It's about creating a ritual out of something, and it doesn't have a point. The point is beauty. The point is pleasure. Another favorite aesthetic ritual is just to light a candle and do something like read a few pages of poetry, or maybe make a perfect little cup of tea with a pot and a cup and just sit and really take it in, you know, breathe in the herbs, just slow down and just be with the senses, with the beauty of your life. I love aesthetic pleasure ritual. I love talking about aesthetic pleasure. I highly recommend this class that I taught last night. I just feel like I'm really happy that I've taught the class now, because I feel like it's such a pillar of my work that like now when I talk about it, I can just be like, oh, there's a class where you can go and you can see what I'm talking about. This is important to me. Okay. And then the final point for today is movement. Exercise. We're just talking about any type of movement. It's not about, you know, the pressure. It's not about, I have to just get into a crazy fitness routine. But it's just think about your body and think about your movement or lack of movement. Maybe you're quite stagnant at the moment, or maybe you're just kind of like running around like a headless chicken at the moment, but find a way to do some movement that's really intentional. So that might be your gym routine. Like, I love my gym routines personally. Walking, maybe it's about dancing, you know, go to a dance class, or even just have a little solo dance session in your space. I have been loving my daily walks, as I mentioned before, and I particularly actually really enjoyed evening walks. There's just something about walking at sort of like evening, like sunset kind of time. It just feels so good, and it just feels like I'm kind of walking into my next autumnal season. Like there's already leaves on the ground, and it's just so, it's just the best. So that is point 8. Do some movement, build some movement into your routine, make a ritual or a daily routine out of it. And we've come to the end of this part of the life reset. Tomorrow in the next section, we're going to be talking about kind of how I like to go in and reflect and then plan. So yeah, tune in for the next episode. And I hope this has been helpful. If it has, I'd love, to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. you can always DM me at decafbubble on Instagram. And if you're interested in the coaching, the one-to-one coaching, go ahead and book in a free 30-minute call, and I would love to chat with you about that as well. All right, stay well. Speak soon.